For me, security is very important, especially saving my passwords. And what you would really need is a password manager. But here's the problem. Most password managers are either really insecure because they're built into your computer with plain text passwords, or they're in the cloud, which means someone else is managing all of your information, and if that little cloud server gets compromised, all your passwords are gone. And that's really not good. So what you need is something called Bitwarden. Bitwarden is a cloud-based password manager, but it's also open source. So people have been able to put it on Raspberry Pis, like this one, and on a computer. All your passwords are on your secure server at home without anyone able to peer in and sneak around. It's all safe. And here's how you do that. The first thing you're obviously going to do is grab your Raspberry Pi, take out the micro SD card, and get a micro SD reader. All you've got to do is insert your SD card into your reader and plug it in to your computer. Some computers might have micro SD card slots built in. You might need to use an external reader, or you need to use a micro SD to full-size SD to slot it into your computer. So what you're going to do is open up your browser. You're going to go to raspberrypi.com/software. It says install Raspberry Pi OS using Raspberry Pi Imager. You're just going to click download for your operating system if you have Ubuntu, Mac OS, Windows, whichever one. You're going to open the program, click yes, install. You're going to press choose OS, and you're going to just press the top one, which is Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit. Storage, you're going to select your SD card, and then you're going to press on this gear button. Now there are two options for wiring up your Raspberry Pi, and the main one is using Ethernet. This is when you wire it into your Wi-Fi router so that if your Wi-Fi goes out, you're still going to have your password manager available, and it's much easier to manage. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. But if you're going to use Wi-Fi, I'll show how to do that later. So you're going to set your host name, and you're going to call it something like Bitwarden. And you're going to enable SSH. You're going to press use password authentication, and you're going to create a secure password. If you're going to do Wi-Fi, you press configure wireless LAN and enter your Wi-Fi information, making sure to change this to your country. But I'm not doing Wi-Fi. I'm doing Ethernet, which is wired internet. You've also got set locale settings. Those are all normal for me. And then disable telemetry, save, and write. This is going to make the Raspberry Pi available to work. While that's going on, you can grab the cables and power adapters that you're going to need. This is my Raspberry Pi power adapter. I'm going to plug it into the wall. Here it is. If you're wiring your Raspberry Pi, you're going to grab your wired Ethernet connection. Make sure it's plugged in on the router end as well. And we're just going to keep these for later. And once this is done writing, we can get started. We're going to grab our SD card out of our computer, insert it into the Raspberry Pi, which is right over here. We're going to plug our Raspberry Pi into the internet, and then plug in our Raspberry Pi's power. Perfect. And as you can see, it's springing to life. This is what you call a headless Raspberry Pi, which means the monitor, which is usually the head, doesn't exist. It's just got two cables, and in some cases, you only need one for power. But because we're running wired internet for safety, we've got the two cables. Now, how do you find this Raspberry Pi on your network? It's very simple. You have to find your router's IP address. Now, how do you find this? You just find it on the side of your router. It should have a number starting in 192.168. And then you have to put that number into your router. Mine is 168.1.254 because I'm using my AT&T supplied router. Now I'm going to go down and try and find Bitwarden. This is why we named it, so that we can identify. IPs are like the addresses of your device. That's why they're called IP addresses. My computer might be 192.168.1.17, which might mean that if someone needs to access my computer, if I'm hosting a server, like a Plex server, it would be there. But it looks like Bitwarden has just loaded in at the IP address of 192.168.1.99. And this is going to be different for everyone. We're going to go on our computer and type in CMD, and this should open this page. It looks really scary, but it is the most simple thing in the world. You're going to type in SSH, pi, which is your username, @ and then paste in your IP address. Now, oh my gosh, this isn't my public IP address. No one's gonna hack my internet by knowing this. It's the least invasive system ever. It looks like a full IP address, but it is nowhere like it. So, you want to type yes to accept it because we know this is the correct device, and we're going to put in our password that we created. We're going to be using something called Bitwarden RS. Now this is basically a slimmed down version of the open source Bitwarden software that can run on smaller devices like the Raspberry Pi, but by no means you're going to lose any features on paying a lot for that bigger version. We're going to need to install Docker, Portainer, and Nginx Proxy Manager. And it's really simple. You're going to do sudo apt update, which is going to download all the latest addresses for the packages. All of these commands and a link to the instructions that I used are going to be in the description. And you're going to paste in this command, which is basically going to download the Docker file, which is going to download Docker. Now, once this downloads, it's very important that we have all the correct permissions for this file. So we're going to modify our user using the user mod command to add ourselves to the Docker user list, which is going to allow us to have permissions to use Docker and have permissions from Docker to use our account. The reason I'm installing Portainer is really simple. It's an easy to use website on our local network that can help us edit and change settings about Bitwarden without having to get into all the nitty-gritty on the computer end. So once this file is done executing, you're going to add the next command. Now, yes, this looks really complicated, but it is a set it and forget it solution. So it's going to tell us to do all this, but you're not going to do anything. You're going to grab our new command, which is going to modify our user and allow it to have Docker permissions. Done. Now we're going to execute Docker and have it install Portainer on the ARM category of architectures. Yours might take much longer to download, but I have some pretty fast internet, so it's working pretty okay for me. This is the Raspberry Pi 4B, which means it is the latest version of the Raspberry Pi, so it's got a few differences from the 3, but overall, there's not much. Our final step in this Portainer setup is going to be running Portainer. So we're going to Control-V this command, and it's going to execute our Portainer. Type in http:// your Raspberry Pi's IP address, :9000, and boom. This is your system to manage all your apps. Now you're going to create a password. I'm going to create a super secure password. Confirm it. And because we want this to be the most secure server in the world, we're definitely not going to allow them to collect our statistics Now, it really doesn't like show anything, but we've got to stay safe. So we're going to create user, and here we are. Now that we have Portainer, it gets really easy. So once you've created your account, you're going to click on local, and here we are. We've connected to our Docker server. Now we have every single option we need. We're going to go to the next how-to and do the first step. We're going to press on volumes, which is right over here, and add a volume. This is going to be what Bitwarden is stored on. So we're going to name it Bitwarden. Pretty simple. Everything else is going to be the exact same. Create this volume, and we're done. We're now going to press on containers, and then add container. This is what Bitwarden is going to be. It's like Bitwarden's mini operating system. But, as seen in the document in the description, Bitwarden RS is no longer called Bitwarden RS, and is actually called Voltwarden. So, we're going to name this Voltwarden, or Bitwarden image Voltwarden. We're going to go to our volumes page, map additional volume, select a volume, Bitwarden. And we're going to make sure that this is writable. Next, we're going to press publish a new network port and make our Bitwarden's port 8080. Perfect. And then on controller, we're going to put 80 right here. And we're done with that. We're going to go on the bottom right to restart policy and press always. And then we're going to press deploy the container. So now Voltwarden is starting, and we can actually click over here to see our published ports, which is going to be under the IP address http:// our IP address :8080. And there it is, Bitwarden. But this password manager is not accessible from outside your Wi-Fi, your home. And we're going to be using something called Nginx Proxy Server to set this up. So here's how you reinstall Nginx Proxy Manager. You're going to go cd/opt. You're going to do sudo make dir Nginx. And then cd Nginx to enter that directory. So now we're going to do sudo nano docker-compose.yml. Now we're going to paste in this information. Control X, press Y, and then press enter. Now you're going to do docker-compose up-d. It will take a few minutes to get this all going. See, now it's creating our containers. We're going to reload the page, and we're going to see we have two new running. Nginx app1 running, and Nginx db1 running. We're going to wait for these to become healthy, and I'll get back to you. So, even if it doesn't say strictly healthy, it might still be working. So we're going to go http:// the IP address of our Raspberry Pi :81, and boom, here it is. Now the default login is very simple. All it is admin@example.com, and the password is change me. So now I'm going to put in my information, and So now I'm gonna create the password. So as you can see here, I just forwarded port 80 and port 443 over to Bitwarden. So here's the thing about port forwarding. The main problem with it, and the reason that I couldn't explain it and just showed you a little preview, is that all people's routers, internet connection speeds, systems, double nats, everything can be different. So I didn't really want to show you how to do it one way, have you do it that way and have it not work. But what you can do is check right up there and see if there are any videos about how to do this that would help you out. It really depends on your system, what router, and showing you this would not have helped you in any way, shape, or form. But it's not that hard. All you need is a little bit of Googling. So you're going to press Add Proxy Host. Your domain name is going to be the one that you have purchased, but for now I'm using my techtimony.net domain name with a subdomain. You have to make sure that this domain points to your home network, and there are many other videos on how to do that, but I cannot fit that in today. You're going to forward port 8080, make sure it's publicly accessible, and click on SSL. You're going to press Request a new SSL certificate, Force SSL, HSTS enabled, Agree, make sure your email is one you can access, press Save, and it should load. Just give it one moment. Now what this is doing is requesting an SSL certificate, which is a secure way to access your new website, which is your password manager, from online. And it's doing this through a free service called Let's Encrypt. You can learn more about that in the description of the video. But now you can go to your domain as long as you have port forwarded up there, as well as set up a domain through Google Domains or another service like Cloudflare up there as well. And now we can go to our website. And look at that, we've got our little secure thing. So we're going to create a new account that I can access. And now we can log in. Look at that. This is our own server. This is not even in the cloud. And what we're going to do next is enable our admin page. We're going to go back to our Docker Container Manager, press Local, go to Containers, Bitwarden, duplicate/edit, and then we're going to go back to our terminal page. And we're going to put in this command. Open SSL rand for random - base 64 48. Boom. This is a number that you're really not allowed to see, so it's going to be blurred for the sake of this video. But we're going back, we're pressing duplicate/edit, and then we are going to add an environment variable, which is going to be under env all the way at the bottom, which is going to be admin_token, and we're going to Control V, deploy the container, replace. And it should start up and be ready. Now, To access your admin page, you're going to go to your website /admin and enter your admin token. Enter. And now you can change all of your settings. So if you want two-factor authentication, YubiKey, anything like that, you can create users, anything is available right there through Bitwarden. If you need any help at all, I can try my best to help you down in the comments and in the linked videos in the description. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.